the sun treat you yesterday?
Okay, we are now live on Facebook.
It's fine. Small talk. Good small talk. How did the sun treat you?
It treated me well. I think it was that time when I had to take time out. I'm taking time out still for a few days.
Okay.
You know, the whole thing of healers needing to heal themselves.
Yeah,
And then the Setswana, I don't know if there's a Zulu equivalent, the Setswana phrase of ngaka ha e kalafi, you know.
That
yeah. So I'm in that space where I needed to just get out of myself and my comfort space because I was feeling quite drained. And also a realization that we are not here to save the world, hey?
Absolutely.
That is so profound.
Yeah.
Yeah, just here to assist the world to save itself.
Yeah. The world has been there before us and it survives. It's continuing to survive. In spite of our mess, you know.
Yes. Sorry, I just need to switch off the volume in my WhatsApp so that I don't get disturbance in this conversation.
Okay.
From sounds coming from outside. Well, welcome to Be Natural Healing.
Thank you.
We are honored to have you. And as the ladies have already said, my name is Menzi Masego. We can Be Natural Healing. And we are very honored to be having this conversation on womb healing. And as I've been speaking about it on social media, I've been saying it's about womb healing, both physically and metaphysically, and matters related.
Yeah.
We've been getting questions from men. Men saying, "Oh, is it okay for me to join?"
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Yes. So I've been getting a lot of those. My WhatsApp, a lot of men have been coming through saying, "Oh, it's about womb healing today. So what's in it for us?" I'm like, where do you come from?
True.
That's the first question I ask, and I leave it there.
Yeah. No, it's great that they're asking the questions. I think then it's an indication that we are ready to discuss issues of collective healing, you know, both as men and women. Yeah,
very important. Yes. So here at Ikambi, we have a very basic, simple rituals that we do that we believe they are non-sectarian kind of rituals, non-religious per se, and just ways to ground us, to welcome the ancestral spirit into the space, welcome the creators into the space. And so before we begin, and then we have something called the Healer's Pledge. So we will start with a quick, just a meditation, a breathing meditation, which doesn't take more than 60 seconds. So some people are saying my volume is quite low. Don't know what to do about it because I've raised my volume very high. They will advise me how else. I think maybe I should remove something. Just a quick second. I think I should remove the pouch now. I've never had a voice. Removing the pouch. Seeing. Okay. How's the volume now?
I can hear you.
Much better, Nkulu.
It's better. All right,
yes.
Cool. I'll be back on screen now. Hopefully it doesn't change. Otherwise, if the volume persists in being bad, I will have to maybe go off screen when I'm speaking. Is that okay? I'll turn off my video when I'm speaking. If it persists, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I said, we just start with a quick breathing meditation just to ground ourselves and be in the moment. So we just basically ask our community to just either you close your eyes or you just relax Relax your shoulders, and whether you're standing or sitting, breathe easy. Just take deep breaths. And then I will first breath, take a deep breath in, and then release it. Take a second breath in. Invite your ancestors, invite the national and personal ancestors in, and breathe out. And you take a deep breath in again, invite the Creator, and allow the Creator to be in our space, be receptive and listen, and let go of the breath. And then we take just one last breath in. Allow ourselves to be listening, learning together, and allow this subject to sink in and become part of our DNA. Let go. Relax your shoulders, shake him up, shake him up, shake him up, and then we can just begin. Ask our guests who are coming in to please mute your mic when you come in, so that you can be able to hear each other without any disturbances. At Ikambi Natural Healing, we begin with the recitation of a very short but very pledge is what we operate from a very Africanist and ancient Kemetic principle that says that word is power, that words are magic. Every word you speak is magical and it is very creative. So this pledge is part of that principle that when we say something, we are aiming and intending to live it and to make it come alive in us. So the Healer's Pledge, we recite it together. People can unmute only at this moment. You can unmute your mic to do the Healer's Pledge, and then you'll mute it after. So please repeat after me our code of conduct for ICAM. We say, Singabelaphi, we are healers.
Singabelaphi, we are healers.
We are healers.
Our gifts to nature, our ancestors, and our Creator.
We owe
We
our
owe
gifts
our
to
to nature,
nature,
our
our
ancestors,
ancestors, and our Creator.
We live by the principles of Maat, Unu, Ubuntu.
We live by the principles of Maat, Ubuntu, and Honu.
We'll approach each other with respect, honesty, and compassion.
We will approach each other with respect, honesty, and compassion.
We will offer our recommendations, prescriptions, and ideas with trust.
We will
We will
offer our advice
recommendation, prescription with honesty and trust.
We will neither insult, dishonor, nor abuse one another.
We
We
will
will
neither
neither insult, dishonor, nor
dishonor,
abuse one another.
abuse one another.
We will share, practice, and promote and raise awareness about natural healing.
We will share,
We will share,
practice,
and
promote, and raise
raise
awareness
awareness
about natural
natural
healing,
healing,
Healthy lifestyles and well-being.
healthy
lifestyle,
lifestyles,
and
and well-being.
We refrain from posting negative information.
We will refrain
from posting
posting
negative
negative
information.
information.
We will refrain posting irrelevant information and falsehood.
We will
We'll
refrain
refrain
from
from
posting
posting
irrelevant
information
and
falsehoods.
falsehoods.
Singabelaphi, we are healers.
Singabelaphi,
Singabelaphi,
we are
we are
healers.
healers.
Our gifts are a gift to humanity and nature.
our gift to humanity and nature.
Will give back to nature what it has abundantly given us.
We will give back
back
to nature what she has abundantly given us.
So, without any further ado, we would like to welcome Memose. Please greet the people.
Let me greet in Setswana. Dumelang bagaetsho, ke leboga go ba ha lona mo. I start in Setswana also as a way of inviting my ancestors. Badimo ba ramotse ya manyane molesa na tla dia tselane mogolo ke nosiwa ba manyane ma ya bokgola go tlhama lesika la ba ramotse ga kgathiba ya bo serakalela letsebogong la bonkoto ke bitsa ba motse ke bitsa ba tladi ke bitsa ba molweisane ke bitsa ba matlala ke bitsa badimo ba botlhe ba ba golaganeng le sefane sa motsei ne se motsei kotlhelogong ne le manyane re motsei wa mollo. We are the bringer of fire. We are the fire takers. But we also are not just the fire takers and keepers. We also work with those who bring rain, because you can't just be a fire keeper and not have water healers around you. Otherwise, the fire will burn you. So there's always a need for a balance between fire and water. So I bring the fire keepers and the water spirits into the circle this morning, and thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
We give thanks. We give thanks. We are very honored to have you. I've been binging on some of your, the word these days is called content, but sometimes I like to move away from that word. It's important in marketing circles and all that, and other artistic circles, but I kind of always feel like it is like an archive. The work is an archive or a documentation of the healing process. So I've been binging on some of your content, and it's very illuminating, I must say. And I thank you we thank you as we family for being here. So without further ado, I would allow in this conversation, by the way, we will. I know there are some questions that we have that we've sent you, but we're gonna try our best to be very to allow you to speak your heart content. But we will try and make it maybe a conversation which is not more than an hour and 30 minutes long. 30 minutes is an extra. An hour is the standard. But we usually go over 30 minutes because sometimes the commentary and the questions from the community can inspire a longer session. Yeah. So I would like to start with reading. I'd like to start with just reading your bio. I will just summarize it as it appears on our poster because it's quite a large one. I would just say, Mutsei. You say Mutsei, right? Mutsei.
Yeah, Mutsei.
Mutsei.
Yes.
Yeah. We people of the Zulu kingdom, when you see an O, we say O. But here up here, we Mu,
Yes.
Pronounce things.
Yes. Yeah.
Learning to pronounce things correctly. So she's the founding director of Africa Ikalafe, or I translated in my head as Africa Zilape.
Yes.
Institute, aptly called Africa Ikalafe, which means Africa Heal Thyself. The aim of the institute is to indigenize health and by so doing, build an African consciousness that provides fertile ground for healing individuals, families, as well as communities. She holds an integrated diploma in general nursing and midwifery, and also in studied nursing, education, and community health. Holds a BA honors in psychology and a master's in creative writing. She is enrolled for her PhD in sociology, focusing on the role of indigenous midwives in countering obstetric violence. She is the author of 6 books, which include, I have to mention this because these books are very important. We're going to actually speak about them a lot at the end of our session. Those books are Hearing Visions, Speaking Voices. Love the title. The Kanga and the Kangaroo Court, Reflections on the Rape Trial of Jacob Zuma. Reweaving the Soul of the Nation, and Straight Linda, the other stories. Her latest work includes a 10-week online course, Conversations with My Womb. The course creates a space for women to heal the wounded feminine. And for more information, you can find her on www.mmachilomotse.com. We will share these details later in the conclusion of our session. So welcome, Mama. Just please tell us what else about yourself that you would like us to know before we proceed with the questions.
Okay, I am the eldest in my family, family of 5. And there's an issue with being the eldest in the family, you know. Being the eldest and also being identified as the one to carry the legacy of healing in the family. So I grew up with this thing that felt like an albatross around my neck. You know, when you are a kid from as early as 9 years old and you are told that you have a gift. Sometimes even when you play with other children, you're thinking of this thing that is above you, that you are not even sure what it is. And it kind of robs you your childhood to some extent. You know, you can be a child, but you can't really be a child fully because you carry old spirits with you. So yeah, that's one thing. I'm a mother as well. I am a mother of 2 sons, Ramukhumutsi Katleho, who's my eldest, who's I think has got a gift as well of healing. And then I have a daughter who's an attorney, but she also has a gift, you know. And then I have the youngest who is 22, who's a sound engineer. He also has a gift. I mean, the joke that they say is, how can we escape this? Because we have been raised by you, you know. There is no way. And then I tell them, okay, you guys chose me. You chose to come through me. So I have been raised by a beautiful Black man, a present father, a man that I love dearly, who passed in 2014. And therefore, that's why even in my work, I think that's the inspiration, where the inspiration is coming from in terms of working with men. Because I have been raised by a loving, beautiful Black man who was there. And my mother is fierce, strong, vocal. I often wonder why my dad chose my mom, because my dad is gentle, soft spoken, a man of few words. But my mom is like a missile, basically, you know. She's present and vocal. So yeah, I come from such a family. I grew up in a village and in a township, a village in Hammanskraal. That's where I did my primary school. And then because my father was a government official, we moved home quite a lot. And then as an adult also, I became very nomadic. I became very nomadic. I've even lost count of the number of places I lived in, including the number of houses I lived in. And my daughter often makes a joke and say, it's a miracle that we have turned out okay, you know, Mom, because we have been all over and we have had contact with many cultures. But then they laugh and say that, but at least we are familiar with so many cultures in South Africa. We can speak more than many African languages. If it wasn't for your nomadic nature, Mom, we wouldn't be. And the joke is now I can leave them in Alaska. They say, if you dump us in Alaska, we'll survive, you know? So yeah, this is basically just a little bit about who I am and the fact that I have been named after two old women, which is unusual. The story is that when I was born, in terms of, because I mean, every culture has got a process in relation to naming ceremony. I was supposed to be named after my father's aunt, the youngest aunt, because I was the first child. The first daughter is named after the youngest in the father's family. And I was supposed to be named after her. And I'm told that Matsilo, who's my grandmother, my father's mother, fought to say, Kinna, meaning she's me. And from the beginning, two old women fought for me. And legend has it that a child is not supposed to be named after two old people. And I ended up being named after two old women. And there's a saying that if you name a child after two old women or two old people, she's going to be mad. So I guess I have been mad all my life. This is basically me, yeah. Okay, you are mute, Mkulu.
I'm saying that is interesting. All I said was that is interesting because you carry these, I don't want to call them mythologies, but these are indigenous knowledges into your life. As African people, we carry this knowledge, this oral information into our lives. Whatever profession we choose, it enriches us to carry this knowledge into. It doesn't take it away from us, and actually really enriches us to carry these stories into our life. But the issue is not all of us are aware of these stories. But I will touch on that. Well, by saying we are not aware, some of us grow up in mostly, I would say, religious families that are not always very connected to the ancestral knowledge. So, in fact, a lot of the time, it is shunned or we are dissuaded from following that path or knowing certain things. But the folklore and the proverbs are always there. They are inescapable when you are African, I think. But I want to touch on this. I will go back on that towards the last end of our conversation. I would like to just get in on it directly and just ask you that question about the womb. What is it? We are speaking womb healing today. How would you define the womb? I'm sure there's an ordinary biological definition, but for you, what is in Zulu we say isibeletho?
Yeah.
How would you define it?
Yeah. I would start by defining it in Setswana. Because there's deeper meaning in our languages, and Ngugi wa Thiong'o was spot on when he said that language is the carrier of culture. So sometimes when you want to understand something at a deeper philosophical level, it helps for you to go to the African description, and that's where you get a better sense of what it is. So in Setswana, womb is called popelo. Popelo. And it comes from the verb boba. Boba, which means to create. And to boba, you use moba. Moba, which is clay. You use clay to create. But what I find fascinating is that there's another Setswana name for God or for creator is Mupi, meaning the one who creates. So there is a thread there. There's a thread where the womb is called popelo, meaning the place where the creation happens. And then the person, the kind of most high, is called Mupi, the one who creates. So there is a link between popelo, obviously, and creation, Pobopa. Those of us who went to school during the time of Bantu education, one of the things that we used to do a lot, which we have lost now, is art, indigenous art. We would, for instance, go to a river nearby where I used to go to primary school. There was a river not far from where we were, and we would go and harvest clay, which is moba. And then we would come to school and create, you know, and that was also fed by the stories that we were told by our grandmothers. Because, I mean, in my master's in creative writing, I used to say that my grandmother was my first creative writing professor. And those stories that she told me in a teen heart around the fire was my first lecture room. Because she fed my imagination. Everything in life depends on imagination. So my grandmother, you know, helped me to create my life. And here one can speak about a metaphysical womb. So the physical womb, interestingly, is a very small organ in the pelvis. It's hanging loosely. It's hanging loosely in the pelvis, and it's kind of hanging with ligaments, you know, just by ligaments. And how can an organ which is smaller than my fist, normally, which is hanging from kind of ligaments in a pelvis, how can it have so much power? And that when you are menstruating, it grows, the muscles grows a little bit, but not significantly. Because what happens is that the layers within the womb itself, you know, it kind of builds up in anticipation of receiving a fetus. So almost like create that layer so it grows a bit. And when there is no conception, then that layer kind of is released as menstruation. And then the womb goes back to its original size. But in pregnancy, it can grow up to over 1 kilogram, just the womb, not the baby. The muscles themselves can expand so exponentially. And they are so strong, yet so fragile. What is amazing is something that is so fragile can also be so strong to a point of carrying an entire being in it for 9 months. And until time comes, then that being is, kind of born. So the womb is our first home in the earth realm. And that's why after we have been born, in terms of ceremonies, is that the placenta, which is a link between the mother and the baby, once the placenta is born, during those days when we used to give birth in birthing huts, the placenta would be buried right inside the birthing hut. Now, it can be buried outside under a tree. And the reason why that's the case is it's a ritual that now hands over this being from its first home to the second home. The second home, which is land. The second home, which is earth. So that is like talking about the womb in an individual physical sense. But then the metaphysical sense, the metaphysical womb is earth. The metaphysical womb is the feminine planetary energy. And the feminine planetary energy is our essence. Without it, we die. We may live physically, but in our soul, when we kill the feminine planetary energy, we die inside, in spite of still being alive physically. And unfortunately, we have kind of reduced feminine planetary energy just to women. And not to all humans. Because the feminine planetary energy and the masculine planetary energy exist in all of us. But with the advent of civilization and patriarchy, we have assigned masculine energy to men only and feminine energy to women only, but also we upheld masculine energy at the expense of feminine energy. What we did was to suppress feminine energy and upheld masculine energy. So we didn't just separate it. We also created a hierarchy to say this one is higher and this one is inferior.
May I ask something, this issue of separation of the feminine energy and from the masculine, or from the masculine from the feminine. I like the metaphor that you're using about the earth. As you are saying as I'm thinking of Gomaga and Baba Lona, Mashasela, earth I know is a woman,
Yeah.
and then there's whole poetry in the middle of this, in the whole song. But as you're speaking also, after the song, I'm thinking to myself, wow, here we always speak about the fact that that renaissance of African knowledge, whether it's from Kemet or from Congo or from wherever in the African world and the diaspora, it's reconnecting us. So I have a question here, a follow up, just to continue on the same thread. Oh, and it like we can be, I was still saying like we can be. We from the Kemetic perspective, the earth is actually described as a man, a figure, and the male figure, his name is Geb. Geb. People can Google the god, the network called Geb. But here we are in the season of Maat, who is known as a woman with wings and justice and balance and all things that you've already touched on, balancing, right? Now, we know that things happen in cycles. Whether you are studying it from the Western perspective, studying anthropology or sociology or history, in the West, they do acknowledge that there was a time when feminine energy was not dominant, but it was foregrounded and it was not suppressed. Hence, they have even goddess culture in Europe and all parts of the world, right? Yeah. They find pieces of goddesses in France or in Spain or in near Stonehenge and all that. Even in Africa, again, it's all over the world, all over the African continent, from the bottom to the top. So my question to you, before I ask another question about the men's support, how do men support women in their efforts to heal the womb? That's the next question. But can I start with this question? Do you think that this imbalance, the redressing of this imbalance, will is a matter of cycles of the earth, is a matter of cycles of civilization, and will it find equilibrium? Is it possible to find equilibrium or a balance in the cycle? Because we know that there was feminine, there was matriarchy and what's that?
Recording in progress.
I don't know what's happening there, but excuse me. Yeah, but I'm asking, will the cycle back again, or will there be a proper equilibrium? Not women on top and men or men on top. Will there be in your opinion, can there be an equilibrium, the middle path, the middle way?
You know, once we start talking about top down, that's where the problem starts. No, because we assign greater importance and greater significance to the one that we perceive, or the energy that we perceive as top.
I get you.
And we assign lesser significance to the one that we perceive as down, right? And you know, if you look at in Europe, for instance, the knowledge of healing, including the knowledge of midwifery, of like supporting women to give birth, belonged to women. But then, you know, with the Christianization of the world and the so-called civilization in Europe, women went through like massive witch burning, meaning the perception and the knowing that women have this power and knowledge, which must be taken away from them as a way of dominating them. I mean, if you study the history of obstetrics, for instance, obstetrics, you know, you will find that if you follow it carefully, that there was a time when there were no male midwives. But when that time came when men became midwives, it coincided with the time of the witch burning, where the majority of women who had sacred knowledge were killed and burned. So this whole thing is about, everything is about power, Pulu. Everything is about power, and it's about our conception of power. The kind of power that we know now, the only power that we know now is the power that we have been taught in school. And that's the dominator model of power. The top down. Even all systems operate on that power. Capitalism operates on that power. Politics operates based on that power. And the power with is something that we have not explored. If we say in the pledge, in the Healer's Pledge, and we speak about Ubuntu, we are already talking about a relational philosophy, an interdependent way of being and living. And when we talk about interdependence, then we are saying my power is interdependent with yours. And the same as your power is interdependent with mine. So therefore, because my power and your power are interdependent, there is no way that you can claim that yours is higher than mine. You know, and I cannot sit back and say my power is lower than yours. And you asked the question, sorry, is there ever going to be an equilibrium? I hope so. I hope we will evolve as people. I hope the human race will evolve to that point of equilibrium. Because when you look in the past, as you rightfully say, that we had priestesses, we had goddesses, and that was wiped out, it was erased. And then we will evolve. The world will show us that we need that equilibrium to survive.
I guess you touched, thank you for that. It's a hopeful message, I must say, especially since we are living in a time of lots of violence against those that are perceived to be weak. And there's just lots of aggression all around. Thank you for correcting me also about the tone, the line of questioning. But you see, even the way we speak, we must not speak of top down. If we speak of that, that means we are still basically caught up in the paradigm, which is obsolete. So you touched on obstetrics. Can you go deeper on that? First, can you define it for those who may not know exactly what obstetric is? And then as in the definition, can you speak to us of what do you mean by obstetric violence? What does it mean?
Okay. Obstetrics is a study of birthing, simply put. And it's interesting, excuse me. And it's interesting that the majority of obstetricians are men. The majority of, in the medical field. Yeah, the majority of obstetricians and gynecologists are men. which I find fascinating. I think it's a study on its own, but one can link it to that time historically with the evolution of medicine. And here we're talking Western medicine because the kind of medicine, conventional medicine that we practice in South Africa follows quite a lot of British model. Because, during that time of the World War and the discovery of gold and diamonds in Johannesburg and Kimberley, that's when a lot of doctors, some of them not even qualified, got into South Africa and came to practice as medicine men and women. So the obstetrics is a study of birthing, and obstetric violence is the violence that women are subjected to during birth. And it's a violence that is very common, but we don't name it because we have normalized it.
By the medical professional.
Yeah, if you go, there is a structural form of violence.
Okay.
There is a violence that can be subjected to you by health workers. There is a violence that is also cultural and spiritual. If we talk about cultural and spiritual violence, for instance, is that the indigenous midwives believed in the woman's body's ability to give birth. They knew that the body of a woman knows how to give birth. I mean, have you watched a cow or a horse or a sheep or a goat giving birth? It just gives birth. Even if it's the first time, the body knows. But with medicalization of childbirth, what happened then was childbirth was no longer seen as a normal condition. It was seen as a pathology. And as a pathology, then it means a pregnant woman has to go and see doctors, even for simple blood pressure and urine testing. So birthing is now seen as a condition. And the cultural violence comes from the fact that traditionally, birthing was a social event, meaning that the woman who gave birth was surrounded by other women who have gone through the process themselves. Maybe in the little hut there would be two old women whose role is just to sit there and chant the names of the ancestors as a way of welcoming this baby that's coming. And then there would be someone whose role specifically is to give the woman massage. It could be a womb massage. It could be, back massage. And then there was this one specifically whose role was to catch the baby. So the baby was born into a village already, and into a community, yes. And also membranes were not cut. What happens in hospital is that the midwife or the obstetrician will cut the membranes so that the water breaks. So the elders
Oh.
believes that the elders believed that you don't cut the membranes. That's why there were some babies who were born with kalisira, you know. The baby who was born in a sack, in an intact sack. And there was a belief that such a baby has got special gifts. So we no longer have that, because the procedure in hospital is that you break the membranes. And the reason why that is done is for the sake of progress. They want to monitor progress, and endless vaginal examinations, even when they're not necessary. And then another thing would be, you know, cesarean section. Right now, many children are born through cesarean section. So that's one way. What I call cultural violence, the way that birthing has become so technological. And then at the physical level is that, yes, women are assaulted, sometimes physically, or pain medication is withheld, or they are called names, they are ridiculed. So obstetric violence is common, but women think that it's okay to be subjected to that kind of violence when you are giving birth.
Just the way it is.
Yeah.
Are there, what processes are there for the reversal of such violence? What processes are there? I know you're doing some work, but are there other institutions which are actually also working towards addressing or reversing this scourge of violence?
The sad thing, Menzi, sad thing is that in my work with indigenous midwives, it's very difficult for me to find elder women who are still practicing as indigenous midwives. In the revival of African medicine, we focused only on all other parts of traditional healers, except traditional midwives. We are on the verge of losing that information, or maybe we've lost it. Because, I mean, I remember in Buputatswana, pre-1994, we had indigenous midwives called Bommaya Butsetsi. And it was part of the formal government policy for them to be there and give support to mothers. Come 1994, a Black government whose responsibility it is to make sure that our knowledge does not disappear. Post-1994 government, this is when I think people are in church. Yeah, sometimes prayer sounds like people are fighting.
Yeah,
you know?
Trust me, I'm from a Pentecostal background, so I know.
Yeah.
Some demons used to be smacked out of us sometimes.
Yeah.
Demons.
Yeah.
Continue.
So yeah, we are losing quite a lot. It's getting very difficult for me to find elders to interview, but I'm getting them slowly. My dream, if I can share it here, my dream is, once I've done the research, is to create a holistic birthing space. A birthing space where if a woman wants to come to a maternity clinic and they want to bring their grandmother with, or the family healer with. The space must be designed in such a way that it allows for the grandmother to have her little corner there, or the healer to have a little corner. The way that the architecture of the hospitals as they stand now does not allow for practice of our indigenous knowledge systems. The four-cornered wide walls does not allow for holistic health. So if we are going to talk about inclusive healthcare in any form, we should also think about a different kind of architecture. We should redesign buildings as well to create that. So my dream is to create that birthing space. And I always talk about, imagine you being a baby born and being born into the chanting of your family praise. And that's the first thing you hear when you come out of your mother's womb. What would that do for you? And after that, then your placenta is buried in the land. And then there's naming ceremonies as well, because when you come to naming ceremonies, the elders did not give you a name immediately for various reasons. One reason was they wanted to know who the spirit is. Before you give it a name, you need to figure out who the spirit is. Or secondly, they wanted to know if this spirit is here to stay. Because the spirit can be here for a few days and go. Or alternatively, if they are not sure, then they call the diviner to ask, who is this? Or alternatively, it would be that process, a naming ceremony. So it means that even the policy of Home Affairs has to change. Right now, when a mother gives birth to a baby, in a few days, you have to have the baby registered, meaning that you need to have a baby's name even before you before you go and give birth, because you have to register for child support or whatever. So all of those things need to change once we get more and more into understanding our knowledge and our philosophies.
Thank you so much for that. I don't want to. What I would like to do now, I've got like 2 or 3 more questions to put to you, but I would like to maybe involve our audience right now. I'd like to ask my sisters that we are working with to check whether there are any questions in the chat or questions on Facebook or comments. Let's take just 5 minutes to look at those, and then we can return with the last of our questions. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Beloved sisters, Nelly Makaba and Mankosi, do we have any questions? You can unmute your mic.
We currently have comments in the chats. We don't particularly have a question now. I see just the message just came through now. So, but I have a question for Mama, me personally. I wanted to know is that based on what she's saying, that we go through so much trauma, even just with just being born, when we're being ushered into this world, we're already experiencing trauma. Would you say that this has a significant impact in terms of some of the social ills that we're currently seeing, you know? Because when the story of my birth is told, it's very traumatic, you know, and it has impacted in some way bits and pieces of my life as well. And then the second question that I have is would you say that the current practices in terms of how they approach to your pregnancy and everything, remember back then, as you have mentioned, that bomme, they used to help you throughout your pregnancy and everything. Right now, we're seeing a lot of induced births. We're seeing a lot of kids being born before time, or they stay longer in the mother's womb, 10 months. Person is born 10 months. And even at that, you know, they have to induce the labor to happen. So it's like we're being forced into this. How would you say it has affected us in terms of the social ills that we're experiencing?
Yeah, powerful question. The sad thing is we are born violently. That's the sad thing. Violently in the sense of we are not born according to our ancestral rituals and knowledge. The hospital has got its rituals. If they put you on a bed and you lying on your back, it's a ritual. If they put a drip in you, it's a ritual. If whatever they do, it's their rituals. It's technological and Western medical rituals. So in all of those rituals, we don't feature. So essentially we go to hospital to push this thing out of our bodies without the spirituality of birth being taken care of. Birth is not just biological. Birth is not just physiological. There's a birth for a woman it is a rite of passage. And we have lost the knowledge and the wisdom and the rituals. I have heard of a grandmother who lives in the mountains in Lesotho. I'm prepared to even go there and spend time there with her, you know, because she's far from a hospital. And she's been doing that. She even knows the herbs that you give to women before birth to prepare the birth canal for birthing. And also the herbs to use after birth to help the uterus to contract. Another thing that I didn't mention earlier is the placenta has to come out at its own time. This is in a normal birth where there's no complications. But in hospital, once the baby is out, they take out the placenta. There's something that they do to make sure that the placenta is born unnaturally. So your question is, in my work, in my healing work on conversations with my womb, I use birth stories. Do you know your birth story? I always say to people, if your mother is still alive, I encourage you to have a chat with her and ask her your birth story, because sometimes you understand your struggles based on your birth story. So yes, we were born violently. Yes, our birth stories are of violence. And yes, we bring multi-generational wounding, you know, from one generation to the other. And therefore, as a people, we carry this collective trauma that we pass on from one generation to the other. But what makes me happy is I think more and more people are becoming aware of that, which is great. We are having this conversation now as an indication that we are ready We are saying to our ancestors, we are ready, we are open, fill us up with the information and the knowledge that we have lost. But also knowing that, Eskiam Pahlele says, by virtue of having been colonized, we have split personalities, that there's always going to be this colonized part in us, even as we pursue our liberation. The fact that we are products of this education, the fact that we are products of foreign religions, all of that is part of our colonized, So then the issue is, how do we harmonize the splits? The social ills, many of the social ills come from birth. But also what I found many years ago when I did research in Alexandra Clinic on violence against women, I also found that many women would be assaulted during pregnancy, and that the abdomen would be kicked. And my explanation of it is that the baby experiences the father's violence even before it's born, even when it's still in the womb. So there's multifaceted ways in which we experience violence in utero, meaning in the uterus, and during birth, during childbirth.
Okay, no, thank you. I think there may be other, thank you for your responses. There may be other questions, might not take them all, but the sisters will assist with some of the questions that are arising.
Okay, we have a question on Facebook from Sheena. She says, what can we do to heal ourselves and our children from obstetrician trauma from this violence, and when the placentas are untraceable, left or disposed at the hospital?
Yeah. Very, very, very critical question. Firstly, you are allowed to ask for a placenta. You are allowed to ask for your placenta to take it home with you. But then the doctors or the nurses will make you look like you are crazy when you ask for it. Let's normalize it. Let's normalize this thing of asking for your placenta, even when you give birth to hospital. The thing about it is, we think that the placentas are burned in the incinerators, when in fact, there's like massive research on stem cells. We have no idea where the placentas are going. The placentas may be used for stem cell therapy. So, normalize asking for your placenta, and we can make a campaign. We can make a campaign together with Commission on Gender Equality, because 2 years ago, CGE made a submission to the UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women on Obstetric Violence, but they didn't act on it. What we can do as women in the ground is that we use that report to say to the CGE, what's happening with this report? If you look at the National Strategy Plan on GBV in South Africa at the moment, I have not read through all of it, but I can bet my last cent that there is no mention of obstetric violence there. So it's something that is common, but it's something that we don't speak about. The CGE has done report around it. If it's something that we can, it's a campaign that we can do together, I'm very happy. For us, Africa Ikalafe and Ikambi, to kind of explore ways in which we raise that issue. with the CGE. And I hear that there's a possibility of a class action against government on obstetric violence. I haven't got the details thereof. I'm still like searching. Once I get clarity on that, when women mobilize around getting their placenta back, an end to obstetric violence, this would be powerful for us to do. And how to heal, I think I always say that starting with your best stories would be the best place to heal. I know that for many of us, our moms have passed. And I always believe that even when our parents have passed, if we believe in ancestors, you can pasha and speak to them in the spiritual realm and ask for that information and ask for them to relay back the information for you. So for us, death is not the end, really. Physical death is not the end. There's ways in which we can continue to ask for that information. Okay.
Okay, we have Ununhlanhla. Ununhlanhla Engozi has her hand raised. Can she unmute and speak?
Oh, good morning. Dumelang bomme babatle. Memutse, thank you very much. I'm reconnecting after many years. Siyalibonga ithongo for this moment namhlanje on this great day. Yabo mama. Memutse, yes. Mine is precisely on the issue of obstetrician violence. You now are coming with it that the CGE can be the body that can be used to lobby such. Because what I have now, my question really, my concern really was is to raise the issue of women and birthing. Why is it that the medical world is so protective and has not only just protective over the birthing of a child, but they have monopolized this the childbirth. You know, they've used all sorts of mechanisms to scare the woman and to give us that fear. It's not a right to just to give birth. You know, I just want to know why is it that circle of protecting this right to women and birth giving and, that space. Yes, thank you.
Because birthing is a business. Simple reason. Health is a business. Birthing is business. So that's why when you give birth in a hospital, in no time you have to get up and go home and create space. They need this bed for another woman as quick as possible. There is no that thing like in traditionally where after you have given birth in the birthing home, you'd stay there for the whole month, and there would be an old woman and a young woman who are assigned to you. One is to make sure that they help you bath the baby and cook for you, and there was certain food that you were given that encourage breast milk production, and you would stay there, not because you are filthy or dirty. You would stay there because they wanted to give you a chance for your body to return to normality, to heal. But another reason was they wanted to give you time for you to bond with your child. That's why in Setswana, there is this piece of wood that was put at the door of the healing heart called mopakwana, that you are not supposed to jump mopakwana. Also, it was to prevent infection, to prevent exposure of infection to the baby and the mother. So it was more protective. But right now, unfortunately, we see some of these practices as discriminatory because we don't understand their origins. And yeah, the reason why medical system is like that is because health is profitable business, and birthing even more so, because women give birth all the time. So you make a lot of money from birthing, and if it can be cesarean section, all the better, because you charge even more, in terms of the medical aid. So it's really up to us, and I would want to encourage people to read a little bit more on the medicalization of childbirth. You will find a lot of articles that speaks about the origins of medicalization of childbirth and why childbirth was medicalized. And even up to this point, Nati, when we are pregnant, we feel that giving birth at a private clinic is a status, as compared to giving birth at home or with a midwife. With my last pregnancy, I had decided to have a home birth. I'm a trained midwife, by the way. And as a trained midwife, I colluded with the system, because they teach you, unless you're aware. It's only now when I do my work on obstetric violence that I colluded as a medical student. I colluded with the system by practicing those rituals that I'm now speaking out against. It's important then for us to conscientize ourselves and also look at how we collaborate with the very system that we say we want to dismantle. Because in our heads, we can't think of an alternative. This system is all we know. And when we think about something alternative, the colonized part in uses, but that's so backward. Or what if this or that happens? But I don't want to come out as minimizing the fact that childbirth can be a risk. That's why I'm opting for an inclusive space of birthing, so that you could have your granny chanting here or a healer chanting in this institution, but then it turns out that you have a complication and you need theater. So when you need theater, you don't have to drive to the other side of town for that. You have theater there, but you are going through surgery because you are going through a complication to save you and the child. So this is basically what I'm talking about when I talk about inclusive birthing.
No, noted very much. There's something I would like us, my sisters are telling me that we should engage it more with the audience again, like with more questions. So I would suggest that due to time, let's have maybe 2 comments or questions, and then you respond to 2. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
But before we do that, Nelisiwe, please allow me to do this. Before we get back to the audience again, there is a very important aspect of your life that we are not touching in this conversation, and then we seem to be running out of time. The issue of writing. I need to ask you that question, but there's 2 questions. These are the last 2 questions. The one about the courses, the online courses that you are doing, and the other one is about writing. Can we begin with the writing one? I asked it this way: speak to us about writing as a healing resource for a healing practice. I don't know, I hope I'm not digressing from those who are really keenly interested in the birthing part, but I'm sure it's all kind of interrelated. Please just speak to us about writing.
Yeah, writing is a form of art to start with. And in our healing repertoire, we use art. We use uketa, we use song, we use heroic poetry, and art, therefore, is a form of medicine. Art helps you to go deeper into the so-called underworld. So as part of my work, whether it's the sessions on conversations with my womb or any other work that I do, I use what I call free flow writing, because writing helps you to go deeper into yourself and understand why you are going through what you are going through. So that's why I use writing. And interestingly, when I did masters in creative writing at Rhodes, for me, when I did that degree, it felt like being initiated as a healer. Because every time when I kind of read something and I was attracted to books that speaks more about healing from all over the world. So the kind of dealing with the resistance in my head, you know, sometimes you want to write, you have something to say, but there's a block in your head. It's the same as the resistance of being open to healing or being open to being a healer. So for me, writing is medicine. In the same way, when you started, you spoke about word has power, word is magic. So it works in the same way.
No, I get you. I get that. So thank you for taking. They can come. You'll excuse me. In a few moments, there's going to be a little bit of some noise. My people have returned from lately, so there'll be a bit of a little bit of a riot. So about your courses, your online courses, and how potential clients can access you. I know it's supposed to be the last question, my sisters, but I want all this interaction to be just free.
Yeah.
So can you just talk about those?
Yeah, the origin of the course, interestingly, I spent about 2.5 years living in a mountain alone in Machado Dorp during the time of my wilderness, after having been flung out of life, after writing the Kangaroo Court. And in this isolation, I used to walk in the bush every day, and I came across this piece of wood that looks like the body of a woman with two legs straight apart, and the part between the two legs was burned by fire. And I remember spending there, and it's next to this big rock out of which water comes from. And I spent time there alone. And then that's when the idea of starting conversation with my womb came from that time. And what I do then is combine medicine, midwifery, I combine biomedical midwifery, I combine knowledge of indigenous midwifery, I combine psychology, I combine creative writing, I combine African spirituality in healing ourselves. And part of healing ourselves is not just related to birthing, but also healing childhood sexual violence. Many of us as women have been introduced to sex through rape when we were children, and there aren't enough spaces where such healing occurs. So conversations with my womb is, if my womb would speak, what would it say? And also you will remember, that song, Bag Lady. We carry, for many of us women, we carry our trauma in our wound. So therefore, part of healing is to release the baggage that we carry in our wombs. And why that is necessary is that as you heal yourself, you heal the women who came before you, but you also heal those who will come through you. This is just my way of saying we need to engage in multi-generational and intergenerational healing.
All right, that's wonderful. Please, Nelisi, where you can take the questions and comments and allow those who want to speak, please.
Okay, so we have Portia that has has a raised hand, so she can unmute and speak, and then from there on we'll take on just the questions we have on the chat.
Thank you, Nelisi. Thank you very much, Matsilo. I'm really, really grateful to be here listening to you speak. I'm actually very, very emotional about a lot of the things that you have shared with us. Thank you for the knowledge and opening the space for us to be in touch or begin to be in touch with our spirituality. But I just wanted to ask you a question around, this is one ritual. You referred to it around when a new baby is born. I mean, I grew up seeing that, although that was not practiced in my own home, where a mother would be like in that healing hut, and there was only one person going into that hut, looking after the baby, looking after the mother. I'm sad that, that was not integrated into our lives at the time to understand why it's happening. And now I understand fully, but I've always suspected that it has to do with protecting the baby. But I just wanted you to speak a little bit about how our African cultures have been, watered down to mean nothing when they mean so much. And can we really get that back?
I didn't understand the last part of your question.
So basically, the fact that our cultures and our cultural practices, especially the spiritual ones, and I suspect they're all spiritual, they've been watered down to the point where they have been rendered meaningless. And and I was wondering whether, what can we do? And I know that's the work that you are doing, and other people I can see about with the comments of the people, in this webinar, that people are really working on it. But how do we spread the word? How do we really actively, get those things back?
I think it's basically starting with ourselves at home. Whatever we can do with our children. Firstly, the first thing is to speak our languages at home. That's the best place to start. Because when our kids can express themselves in their mother's language, it's the beginning. And then the thing about it is also to remember that we have been colonized over a long time. And sometimes the stuff that we are crying for has not just been watered down, they have been lost. But I always say that if we find ourselves in a situation where something has been lost, we can try and find understand the motive of the ritual and then come up with something that feeds that motive. And also we are not static as well. We shouldn't want to cry over spilled milk. We can read a lot, and I used to do a holiday African leadership camp for young people, and one of the exercises that they had to do was to go home and interview their parents about certain practices. And they came home to say, Our parents don't know. Our parents don't know. So it made me realize that we've already lost quite a lot. But whatever we do now, it's a good start. And that's why I'm saying, now I'm excited that more and more people are doing this kind of work. It's a sign, Yahore, we are ready now as African people. And the more we open, then the ancestors are going to be filling us up with the information that we have lost. Part of my work in Africa Igalafe is to do that. And perhaps in the future, we should find how we collaborate as institutions that are working in this area, because most of the time you find that we work in silos. Again, we want to show who's more powerful, who's more popular than the other. So that's a challenge for us as institutions that are working in this space, to find a way of collaborating and even like referring. One of the things that I do in my work, even in conversations with my womb, is that if I meet someone who can conceive or who needs some herbal treatment of some conditions, reproductive conditions, I am not a herbalist. I don't have the knowledge of herbs. So I have people who have it. I refer. And that's how it should work. We shouldn't want to do everything. We shouldn't want to know everything. We should focus on what we are called to do, but also be aware on what other people are doing that is related to the work that we do. So I'm looking forward to the time where healers will work together in such a way that we know who's doing what, and we refer to one another. Instead of someone coming to you and you know you can't help them, but you keep them. You don't tell them to go to so-and-so. You don't tell them that, I mean, according to my knowledge or my training, I don't have that knowledge, but I know someone who can do it. So there's many ways. There's many ways to do this. I'm looking at the time, and I'm kind of trying to be proactive in terms of how we can take this forward. Perhaps, Nedisiwe, I've seen quite a lot of questions in the chat that we are not able to answer. If it's possible, because you have recorded this, if it's possible for you to put them together and find, I can respond to them. Maybe we could, if it's people that you have their emails, I can answer all the questions in one document as an example, right? And then send it to you, you share it with them, so that everyone who's been in the circle feels that their comments or their questions have been answered. So I feel like we shouldn't feel pressure to answer everything now. We can think about something to do beyond this dialogue, that Nelisiwe can send me my all the questions on chat, and everyone who's listening can make sure that their email addresses are on the chat, so that once I have responded, then I hand over to Ikambi. Ikambi will then send you the responses. And from there, then we can figure out a way of continuing to work together. Maybe we can meet specifically on a particular topic. If we want to take this forward, then we can do that. So this could be a beginning of a form of activism, so that it's not just a dialogue for the sake of a dialogue. That everyone who's interested, then it can harvest what we spoke about, what is here, and then I can meet with them at a later stage, and then we can talk about how we take this further. I hope this is okay. I can see from the chat people are already sharing, so I think we are on the right track. Let's take it further as they used to say when we were at school, somebody was challenging to beat you up, they would say, let's take it outside, you know. So let's take it outside this Zoom to make a difference. Africa Ikalafe is also looking for partnerships in terms of working with people to take these matters forward.
You're speaking our language there. Sorry to if I'm cutting you there, Matlaba. She is speaking our language. Can't you hear? Everything we've been speaking about throughout the year. Some of the plans have been curtailed by lockdown, but Ikambi, basically, they are going to meet. You are definitely Africa Ikalafe and Ikambi are going to work together. You've not just prophesied it, you've just seen it. It's going to happen. And Linda Elwa is also here, and many others. Various, almost everyone in this chat is a member of the community that is going to work together. And some of us, those who can, we are going to meet. We have plans for that. At a particular season, Ikambi, remember, works according to specific seasons. And this African calendar, we honor this African calendar all the way from ancient Kemet and also from the south, and also, as I said, from Central Africa. We work according to the law, as above, so below, as below, so above, and as within, so without. So you are speaking something that we are already in the plan of doing. We're going to definitely do it. What's up? Are you there?
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for echoing that. Definitely. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. That it's let it be an ongoing conversation and not for us to try to rush this process. Very beautiful, and I've definitely noted all the questions and the emails for everybody, and we will make sure that all of Ume's details also, we will publish that, so you'll be able to contact her on her website, also on her social media pages, and just follow the wonderful work that she's doing. But definitely, this is just an introduction for the deeper and the continuous work that we will be doing. So thank you so much for availing yourself beyond today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate love it. We appreciate it. I do not think, I think you've summed it up properly. The conversation is going to go on. The conversation, we're going to take it outside unto nature. I love seeing your picture of you sitting in the sun. That is something we speak about in Ikambi a lot. So thank you very much. And thank you to every single soul that joined us in this conversation. The conversation will be on our YouTube page. Please go follow, like, and share our YouTube page, Ikambi Natural Healing. The Sunday sessions are being shared there. You go through an archive of stuff that we've done since last year. Feel free to share and like, and there's a lot to learn. Some of the stuff we were speaking about today is also kind of spoken about there. And I just need to say this, Mahmoud say, there's something you spoke about in terms of herbs that we're going to need a session with you about it. I know you said you're not a herbalist, but you touched on an aspect of herbs that is very close to our heart. So we may call you back just for that, both from birthing, the herbs you are speaking about that are used before birth. So basically, I'm saying you're gonna go. You need to go to the mountain and interview the cocoa, and then after spending time with the cocoa, we need to download that and unpack that for the people, for the family.
Yeah. Okay, and I want to acknowledge if there are any brothers listening. We didn't even talk about how this impacts on them. I want to honor the brothers who are in the circle. That this is part of our conversation as well. And if they have any questions around our role as men in this journey as well, they should jot that down, so that at some point we would have a conversation with men around these issues as well. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Very important. That's it for us. Thank you very much. People are still chatting. I'm not sure. Do you have any other last words?
Okay, The last word is, as from next year, I have acquired a piece of land, as ancestral land, in a village in north of Pretoria. This is where I'm going to be doing a lot of the work. We don't have buildings yet, but we'll do tented camps. My plan is to start what we call a pluriversity, which means multiple ways of knowing. So once that's up and running, we could go to the bush anytime and to talk about all kinds of issues. So yeah, there's kind of I think at my age now, I'm thinking of creating institutions and things that I will leave in place. And I'm keen to work more with young people as well, because I could have the ideas, but I no longer have the energy to run as I used to. And therefore we need a relay, an intergenerational relay, where we work together across generations. That's my last word. Thank you.
So let it be. Everything you said, it shall transpire. You are doing the work, and the ancestors are listening. Umdali is listening. Mudimo is listening. Badimo. Thank you very much. Ni sale kahle. Have a good Sunday, everyone. Be productive, stay safe, and remember your ancestors.
Thank you. Thank you.